Good afternoon, gang, and welcome to your second history lesson of the week. Last time I managed to put a bit of a sneaky geography lesson linked to our history topic, but this time, don't worry, we are mainly focusing on history. So let me share our key vocabulary for the day, and then we will have a look at our questions to start off with. You'll notice that I haven't got our timeline at the start of this PowerPoint because you are going to be putting things into chronological order. So instead of giving you the answer to start off with, I thought I would give you the answer at the end. Our key vocab for today. Timeline is a representation of a period of time with key events highlighted on it. So a timeline of your life, for example, would include when you were born, when you first went to school, birthdays, that sort of thing. It has all of those key events on there. Chronology or chronological order is arranging dates in the order that they happened, from the first thing that happened to the last thing that happened. A pharaoh is a ruler in ancient Egypt. A ruler is in someone who rules, not something to use to measure things. And hieroglyphics means writing using pictorial systems. There are a few civilizations that did do that, but ancient Egypt is the most famous one. So, our three starter questions. We've got a question from a previous topic, a question from a bit of previous learning that you've done in your Greenridge careers, and a question from your last lesson. So, previous topic, how are mountains formed? Previous learning, what was the process used to create bronze in the Bronze Age? And previous lesson, what type of climate does Egypt have? Pause the PowerPoint, have a go at answering those three questions. It just needs to be a couple of notes, doesn't necessarily need to be a full sentences there. Okay, let's have a look. So mountains are formed through a variety of different ways, but hopefully you got something about tectonic plates in there, whether it is them colliding and both coming up, whether it's one being pushed under, whether it is them pulling apart and releasing magma, which cools and over a period of time becomes mountains. The process used to create bronze in the Stone Age is called smelting. And the type of climate that Egypt has is a hot desert climate. Hopefully you looked last lesson about why that makes the River Nile such a key component of everything that happened in ancient Egyptian times. Okay, so here is an example of a timeline, and I've put the year 0 in the middle there. It's not really in the middle when we think about it, but it's a good way of us having a point that we can compare to. And there's two different types of dates. We've got BC, which is before the year 0, and we've got AD, which is after the year 0. The easy way to remember it is BC normally is remembered as before Christ, which means that Jesus was born around the year 0. Anything that happened before Jesus is BC. AD stands for Anno Domini, I think. I will double check that. But that means that anything that happened after Jesus. Now, it's very similar to negative numbers when we're putting dates on a timeline. So here are 4 dates that we might use. They're not for this one, but they're just random dates. So we've got 250 AD, 320 AD, 75 BC, and 400 BC. Now, when we're dealing with AD, the larger numbers mean that they happened closer to us. So 320 AD happened after 250 AD. However, when we're looking at BC, it's just like negative numbers in that the smaller numbers are closer to the year 0. So 75 BC is closer to the year 0 than 400 BC. So when we're ordering, we need to be very careful to look at whether it's BC or AD and make sure that we follow that rule, that with BC, as things get closer to 0, it means they were more recent. And with AD, as things get further away from 0, it means that they were more recent. And there they are again. So, looks like a lot going on that screen. Don't worry too much about it. Have a read of what the events are as well. But the main thing that you need to focus on is the date. So your job is to take those 3, 5, 7, 10, 13 events that are key events in ancient Egyptian history and put them into chronological order. There's a couple of stretch tasks as well. So the first stretch task is the ancient Egyptians had 3 main eras, the Old Kingdom, the Middle Kingdom, and the New Kingdom. Can you show these on your timeline? So which events happened during the Old Kingdom era, which events happened in the Middle Kingdom era, and which events happened in the New Kingdom era? And the other stretch is something that in our assessment pro forma, If you can do this, then it shows that you're working at a greater depth in this in history. So can you research another ancient civilization, for example, the Mayans, the ancient Greeks, the Romans, the Incas, the Aztecs, or any other important events that you can think of throughout history? And in a different color, can you put them onto your timeline as well so that you can compare the ancient Egyptians with other ancient civilizations? So that is your job for today. I will also put this on to Teams so that you can have a go at moving them around instead of having to write them out necessarily. But try putting them in order, try adding your own ones in there as well. And on the next slide, I've got the answers so that you can check it. So pause it, have a go at it from here. And when you're ready, press play and move along. Okay, there are your answers along with one of the stretch activities. I didn't put the second stretch activity in because obviously you will all have gone for slightly different civilizations, but please do send me over those ideas as well. There you go. So those are some key events from ancient Egypt. We will be looking at quite a lot of them. If you're interested in any of them, feel free to do your own research on them whilst you can. But I look forward to seeing them, and I hope that you also enjoy your yoga session with Miss Crown this afternoon.